Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us here at 4 o'clock. We are coming on the air with breaking news at 4 o'clock, continuing coverage of a suspected gunman at the Four Seasons Hotel in Midtown Atlanta. Right now, that entire area is locked down. Police asking you to avoid the area. We've been following this story for well over 30 minutes. We have heard the active gunfire round after round going off again. This is at 14th Street at the Four Seasons Hotel and condominiums. You were taking a live look at one of the GDOT Sky Tracker videos right here. You can see a large police presence there. In fact, much larger than this, as police have even pushed our crews back further away because of the continued gunfire. APD has said that anyone in that area should shelter in place and stay far away from any windows. An Atlanta Police Department specifically saying to please avoid 12th Street, 13th Street, West Peachtree Street, Crescent Street, Peachtree Street, and Peachtree Walk. The Four Seasons, not just a hotel, there's also residences above that. There are multiple hotels, multiple businesses in this area, as well as residences. And where you're looking at right now, this intersection, a very, very busy one at 5 o'clock as people get off of work, get off and try to head home. But once again, right now, that is shut down. For the last hour, we have heard on and off gunfire. Police asking if you are in this area right now, if you have friends or family in this area right now, if they are in one of those office buildings or if they are in one of those residences, please stay away from windows. This is still an active shooter situation. If you remember, this is also the same area where the Midtown shooter was. So police prepared in this area for a similar situation. Right now, we are still understanding and learning what is happening, who that suspect is, and if there are any victims. 11 Alive's Cody Alcorn is live for us in this area. Cody has been on the air for the last hour giving us updates. Cody, what are you seeing on the ground right now?
Well, I'm just going to stay off camera because, again, the most important thing is getting this information to you and letting folks see what is unfolding. You're looking right down at the Four Seasons Hotel. There are two SWAT vehicles beyond that APD vehicle parked sideways right at Crescent Avenue there. This all started, as we have been talking about, from sources telling me as a barricaded individual possibly going through some type of mental health crisis. That's what initially we were told, and was armed with a weapon. They have been down here for quite some time, but I'll tell you, I got down here shortly before 3 o'clock, and then that's when gunshots started ringing out from the building here. If you're not familiar with the Four Seasons Hotel, there is a residence side and there is a hotel side. We were originally told this was in the 30th floor and up. Somewhere out there, maybe around 32, 33 is where this all began. And we have seen snipers enter buildings around this Four Seasons Hotel. And again, we have heard multiple shots being fired, rapid shots, which, you know, sounded like the SWAT team responding to that shooter. We do not know what type of weapon this gunman has, but we have seen multiple SWAT teams arriving here on the scene. Crash mentioned this. We do have Grady EMS on scene. We have Atlanta Fire's EMS on scene as well. There is kind of a command staff set up across the street from the Four Seasons where they are actively helping the SWAT team inside this building. We have not heard any gunshots here in the last 5 minutes, but again, that does not mean this thing is resolved. It does not look like anything has been resolved at this point. In fact, they have moved us back. We were on the air just here before 4 o'clock. We had to move all the way back to Peachtree Street here at 14th. But again, Peachtree Street is open, but it's going to be backed up as 14th is closed, and they are asking the public to stay away from 14th and 13th because, again, active shots have been fired, and we obviously, as you know, do not know where these bullets are heading and if the shooter is just randomly shooting. At this point, we have no idea who the suspect is, if they lived at the Four Seasons, why they were at this hotel. And again, we do not specifically know the original call, other than it was possibly some type of mental health crisis ongoing with an armed suspect inside. And we talked about this. This is not what APD wants to happen. You know, they have negotiators, they have teams who are trained to deal with these mental health crises. We see this a lot just throughout the week. These standoffs with someone having a situation, they need help. They get them out safely and take them to the hospital, and everybody goes home safe. But today, something triggered this individual to take it another step, and that is why you see such a massive presence down here, because again, shots have been fired, and I would say at this point more than 40 shots have been fired since I've been on this scene, Ron.
Cody, Yeah, Cody, so I'm here in the studio as well. I'm looking at the video that you're feeding back to us at 11 Alive. A couple of questions for you. First of all, I know APD is not handling this on their own. They probably called in mutual aid from other agencies around Metro Atlanta. Have you seen other agencies other than APD there right now?
So I've not seen any other agency as far as marked vehicles, but again, they could be on the other side of 14th that I am not on. From this vantage point, I've only seen APD SWAT, but I did see two snipers walking into a building across 14th from us. They just had on the green gear, so they could have been another agency. They did not have any markings on their protection
uniforms,
gear.
right,
So
yeah.
At this point, yeah, I don't know exactly who else would be here, but I would imagine any officer in the vicinity, when they heard those shots, this thing escalated to more than just a standoff.
And my last question for you before we go back to the anchors and back to you, you mentioned that there's two ambulances there right now. They're on the scene. Do they look like they're on standby? Are they treating anyone? What is their status from your vantage point?
Great question, Ron, because a lot of people might not realize this, but on every SWAT team there is an EMT. That individual typically is not armed, but they train with SWAT to go in with these SWAT teams. In case a SWAT member goes down, there is an EMT with them to immediately help that SWAT officer and get them out so they have assistance, medical needs. So I would imagine the Atlanta Fire Rescue, that's kind of a new fleet for Atlanta Fire. They could be in with the SWAT team helping. Grady EMS on standby outside for the obvious suspect if they take that suspect down by gunfire. But I think that's what some people don't realize is on these SWAT teams, they each have their own job. And one of those individuals, again, typically not armed, is an active EMT member who goes in with these teams in case things go south, as we have seen here. Because, Ron, we talk about this a lot. There is no call that is ever typical. And this is a perfect example because these men and women train for these standoffs. They train for these mental health crises. But what we're seeing here is why you never call any type of response typical, because this thing escalated within just a few minutes here inside the Four Seasons Hotel, not somewhere you would expect to have a shootout with APD and an armed suspect.
Absolutely, and you know, one thing we should point out too before we get back to the anchors, and that is, I'm sure that SWAT team is going from floor to floor, room to room, trying to identify any possible victims or any other suspects that may be in that building. And the last time we spoke with you, we heard a lot of gunfire. Have you heard anything else in the past couple of minutes or so?
So they have pushed us far enough back that I have not heard, because you have Peachtree Street traffic behind me. So, but when you hear those shots, they ricochet off of these high rises, so we should be able to hear any if they do. But what that could mean is one of two things. Possibly the suspect is down, or SWAT retreated to bring in another team, or maybe they're trying to set up a sniper, which we saw come in. Again, they want to resolve this without anybody's life being taken, but obviously things have escalated. Ron, you asked if there's anybody else on scene as far as agencies. I can tell you I see a MARTA police vehicle has just pulled up on Crescent Avenue here right outside the building, so that does confirm there are other agencies here, including MARTA Police, and I'm sure Fulton County Sheriff has his folks here as well. And you cannot see this because I'm off kind of towards the 1180 Peachtree Street building, but I can see more SWAT team members suiting up. And again, this is a unique situation, one they train for, but we're not in a house, we're not in an apartment complex, 2 or 3 floors, or even a regular high rise of maybe just 15, 20. This is the Four Seasons Hotel. This is a very tall building. And again, you have residents that are living there on one side, you have hotel on the other. It's a popular spot. So yes, Ron, I'm sure they had to not only evacuate this place, but make sure no one was in their home. And then they made that decision to return fire. So again, at this point, I want to clarify, we have heard of no civilian injuries. So that is what we're hearing right now. There's been no indication there's a hostage situation, but those details have not been confirmed. We are expecting the public information officer to walk over to us soon. But at this point, Atlanta police have not spoken to us, and sometimes we try to get them over here fast, but you got to remember, on situations like this, the public safety is number one, and their number one priority right now is getting the suspect out alive and making sure everyone is safe in this hotel and surrounding buildings. So we expect the PIO, the Public Information Officer for Atlanta Police, to walk over to us, but it's going to be at some point that they have more information than we have at this point. So what that reads to me is that this is still very active, and this is still an ongoing threat to the immediate area here that is shut down from Peachtree Street on 13th and 14th.